welcome to the channel. Today we're going to go over 5 tips for beginner kayak fishermen. Tip number 1, when you're getting ready to go out on the water to go out on a fishing trip, make sure that you're telling somebody where you're going and what time you'll be back. This is called a fishing plan or an on the water plan. Basically, it's to prevent people from not being able to find you. Now I know when we go out on the water, we like seclusion, we like peace and quiet, that's our time. But to be safe, you need to let somebody know, a wife, parents, your neighbor, a friend, anybody. Let them know where you're going, how long you're going to be out there, and when you plan on being back. Because if you don't come back on that time, then they're going to start to worry, and maybe something happened to you. Maybe you fell out of your kayak, or maybe your truck broke down getting back. Just let somebody know, and always keep a cell phone on you. This is your best friend right here, especially out in those areas where you do get service. So just make sure that you call somebody and let them know where you're going. Hey honey, I'm going out to the lake today. I'll probably be back around maybe 5 or 6, and yeah, I should be out there for a couple hours. I'll be back. See you tonight. Love you. It's easy as that. Just letting somebody know where you're going. Tip number 2, plan out your trips. If you're going to go out for an all-day event and then you go out there and you get lost, you have no way of getting back. That's where that fishing plan comes in, or that on-the-water plan comes in, and you can let somebody know, hey, I'm out here, it's going to take me a while to get back. But if you plan out your trips beforehand, you'll know where you're going, how long it's going to take you to get there, how long it's going to take you to get back, and you won't get lost. It's as easy as going to Google Maps and looking at the lake you're going to and simply just drawing out a plan like I did right here. You want to know where you're going just so you don't get lost. Tip number 3, always stay visible. What do I mean by that? Either have a flag or a bright colored kayak. Too many times there's boaters and kayakers on the water together, and the boaters may not see the kayakers, and then there's an accident waiting to happen. So always make sure you have a flag with a 360 light on top of it. A regular flag will do, but that 360 light, especially when it gets dark or you're fishing early morning, really helps boaters identify where you're at so they can avoid you. I use the Railblaza flag with the 360 light on it, and it works wonders. There's hundreds of different brands of flags, lights to choose from. Just go choose one that you like and one that fits you. Tip number 4, make sure you know the waters that you're fishing. You don't want to get out to this lake and find out that the water is too low, or that there's an actual tide to that river or lake, and you go out there and now you're stranded and have to either haul your kayak back or wait for the tide to come in. There's too many obstacles on the lakes now that you could run over a stump and be stranded out there, or your paddle breaks if you're paddling a kayak and you have one paddle to get back. You never know what's going to happen out on the water. You never know what's underneath the water. So be sure you do some research on the lake that you're going to fish. There's tons of websites, Google Maps, forums that you can go and ask these questions of what's in the water, what's the water like, how are the conditions on the water, and what to expect. Just remember, this is a big safety tip when you're out on the water to enjoy your fishing day. And tip number 5, the last tip, the most important tip of the day, is wear your PFD. They come in different sizes, colors, shapes, you name it. There's thousands out there. The PFD is the most important piece of equipment that you will own on your kayak. It doesn't matter if you have a broken paddle, you can always paddle back to the ramp. It doesn't matter if your fishing pole breaks and your trip is over. None of these things are going to save your life more than a PFD. That's essentially what it is if you fall overboard, you're gonna float with a PFD. If you're not a very strong swimmer and you get caught in a current, that PFD could save your life. You could float and kind of paddle back to shore. Wearing the PFD is the most important thing. Not to just have it on your kayak, but to be physically wearing it, and the right way too. There's multiple PFDs out there, from self-inflating to inflating to just your standard PFD. I recommend just your standard PFD or an automatic inflating one. That way, if you do fall out of your kayak and you hit your head or you get knocked out, that thing is automatically floating you to the surface. And the last thing I have to say about the PFD is make sure that you know the regulations in your state for wearing a PFD or having one on the boat. Especially with tandem kayaks or canoes, you want to make sure that you have the proper amount or the proper size for the people that are in your kayak or your canoe. Well, folks, that's the 5 tips I have for kayak beginners on safety and being aware of where you're going.